This is an in-service training program provided by Nutrition Care Systems. Today's topic is personal hygiene. The following are the learning objectives for this lesson. Number 1, list the procedures to help prevent transmitting foodborne illness. Number 2, understand when hands must be washed. Number 3, be able to demonstrate the proper way to wash hands. Number 4, discuss when disposable gloves should be used. Recognize other personal hygiene practices which must be followed. And lastly, list examples of proper food handling. To start out with, unclean hands are the most common way that food is going to get contaminated, and food service workers are the main source of contamination, so washing your hands thoroughly is a key to preventing foodborne illness. Every food service worker should develop daily habits of careful hygiene. It's really important to have impeccable personal hygiene, so we want to protect the residents against any kind of potential food contamination. It's really our responsibility. Now, employees must wear clean clothes, bathe daily. You should restrain and cover your hair, and do not eat, drink, use tobacco, or chew gum while you're preparing food in the kitchen. You should wash your hands frequently. Wash hands before preparing food. Wear minimal jewelry. Avoid hand contact with foods. And restrict any employees from work who show signs of any kind of illness. Wash your hands frequently and pay special attention to your fingernails, making sure that you scrub those thoroughly. By doing this, you're going to greatly reduce the occurrence of foodborne illness. So make sure you wash your hands frequently throughout the entire day. So when should you wash your hands? Well, you should wash your hands when you start your shift, before you put on gloves, when your hands look dirty, when your hands feel dirty, and before eating, drinking, and smoking. You must also wash your hands after eating, drinking, and smoking, before handling food, after using the restroom, after handling raw meat, chicken, and poultry, after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Also wash your hands after touching your face, after touching your hair, after touching cuts or wounds, after itching and scratching, and after handling garbage. You must also wash your hands after handling chemicals, or handling soiled utensils, or if you're bussing tables. After handling unclean work equipment or services, you must wash your hands. Also, before caring for sick people or after caring for sick people, you must wash your hands. And then anytime after contacting any known or suspected contaminant. What's the best procedure to wash your hands? Use warm running water at least 110 degrees. Wet your arms and hands up to your elbows. Apply soap or detergent and lather heavily. Use a lot of friction, rub your hands together repeatedly, scrub under the fingernails as we mentioned before, and rub for a minimum of 20 seconds. Rinse your hands thoroughly under hot water, then dry your hands and arms using a single service towel or hot dryer. Do not dry your hands on your apron, and then use the towel to turn off the faucet. Talk a little bit about disposable gloves. Disposable gloves are not a substitute for appropriate, frequent, and thorough hand washing. They're just to be used when you're preparing food, but not a substitute for hand washing. Use only disposable gloves that are meant for food service workers, and make sure you wash your hands before putting on gloves and in between changing your gloves. Make sure you replace your gloves at least every hour or when changing food preparation tasks. After you sneeze, cough, touch hair, face, or non-infected surfaces, you must change your gloves. Ready-to-eat foods also must be handled with either clean gloved hands or with tongs or other clean sanitary utensils. There shouldn't be any contact with ready-to-eat foods with bare hands. There's other personal hygiene practices that you must follow in the food service department, one of them being hair care. Your hair must be completely restrained. Hairnet or a cap must cover all your hair. Keep your hair off the collar and the neck. Also clothing, your clothes must be clean, in good repair, free of stains or spots. And wash and change your clothes and undergarments daily. Repair any rips and replace buttons as needed. Make sure you have a clean apron. Make sure they're changed when soiled. Make sure you have clean closed-toe shoes. Wear shoes that are worn only at work. Clean and polish shoes weekly or more frequently as needed. And as far as jewelry, avoid any jewelry as far as dangling earrings and rings. The only exceptions are wedding bands or a watch. Also use tongs, plastic gloves, or other suitable utensils when picking up foods or ice. Make sure you follow hand washing standards and procedures from your department, and then avoid sneezing, coughing, or spitting around food. Also avoid touching your face, scratching your head. Never smoke in the food production, service, or storage areas. Only in designated smoking areas. Avoid using toothpicks or chewing gum in the food production, service, or storage areas. Also avoid handling foods when the symptoms of communicable disease are present, such as if you have a cold, sore throat, sinus infection, diarrhea, or infected sores or cuts. And then also avoid leaning or sitting on food preparation or storage surfaces. Also avoid leaning, sitting, or putting feet on table edges or lower shelves. Make sure you use a clean utensil each time food is sampled for seasoning and tasting, and do not taste over the range or serving unit. What about dealing with staff illness? We know that this happens. Report any illness to direct supervisor immediately. Report any cuts, sores, or infections to direct supervisor. Proper precautions include keeping affected area covered by a clean bandage and wear a disposable glove if on the hands or lower arms. So someone can cut themselves and still work as long as they have a bandage and a glove on, as long as the cut is not infected or obviously needs some direct medical attention. Also make sure you report any abscess, skin lesion, or infected boil to the supervisor immediately. The employee may return to work once the drainage ceases and the lesion has healed, or if the employee has a negative culture, but they can only work if the area is covered by a glove or an impermeable cover. Also report any signs of diarrhea, fever, vomiting, jaundice, or throat to your supervisor immediately. The employee must get a medical clearance in order to return to work. HIV/AIDS may weaken the immune system, but an employee with HIV/AIDS may work with no restrictions, but be alert to any secondary infections that may occur because of that. So if an employee has a respiratory infection, they may need to be restricted from food and clean dishes if they have a persistent cough or sneezing is present. The employee must wash their hands frequently and observe safe work practices. If someone is extremely ill with a cold, they may not even want to be coming to work, so you might just have to make a judgment call as far as that. But hand washing is very key when someone has any kind of illness. Let's take a short quiz. Question number 1. To help prevent transmitting foodborne illnesses, employees should do all of the following except A. Bathe daily. B. Restrain and cover hair. C. Only wash hands at the beginning of the shift and at the end. Or D. Avoid hand contact with foods. The answer to question number 1. To help prevent transmitting foodborne illnesses, employees should do all the following except C. Only wash hands at the beginning of the shift and at the end. Wash your hands throughout the day. You may wash your hands 20 or more times a day, but definitely more than just at the beginning of the shift and at the end of the shift. Question number 2, when should employees wash their hands? Before applying gloves? After using the restroom? After handling garbage? Or all of the above? Question number 2, the answer, when should employees wash their hands? Employees should wash their hands, D, all of the above, before applying gloves, after using the restroom, after handling garbage, just to mention a few. Question number 3, which of the following is not true about disposable gloves? A, replace gloves hourly or when changing food service tasks. B, wash hands before putting on gloves. C, disposable gloves can be a substitute for hand washing. Or D, ready-to-eat foods must be handled with clean gloves or any other clean utensil. Question number 3, which of the following is not true about disposable gloves? Of course, that would be C. Disposable gloves can be a substitute for hand washing. That is false. Disposable gloves cannot be a substitute for hand washing. Question number 4, if you do not have any paper towels, it is fine to dry your hands on your apron. Answer to question number 4, of course, is false. You cannot dry your hands on your apron. That's a contamination issue. Question number 5, an employee can continue to work with a cut or sore as long as it is covered by a clean bandage and a glove is worn. True or false? The answer to question 5 is true. As long as an employee wears a clean bandage and a glove, if they have a cut or sore, they can continue to work. Thank you for your participation in today's program. Our goal is for you to use this information in your daily work. We hope you are well served today and every day. If you would like more information about our in-service training programs or consulting dietitian services, please contact us at 1-800-761-9200 or nutritioncaresystems.com.